Most of our songs are generated in Justin's gym. It normally involves me sort of sitting there with an acoustic guitar while Justin works out, and I'll just be coming up with musical backing tracks or kind of, toying around with different ideas until, he'll sort of emerge from lifting an incredibly heavy weight and go, I like that, and then you develop that a bit more, and then it's kind of where the magic happens, really, isn't it?
We do spend a lot of time in that environment because it's just a room where we can be, doing stuff like, and I always feel like when you're writing a song, it's pretty much like trying to catch a butterfly, but instead of a net, you have like an acoustic guitar, and you're just swinging it around and just playing stuff, and then and as Dan says, every now and then he'll do something and I'll go, yeah, that's it, there, do that, keep doing that, and then I'll come up with a title or start singing a melody or something like that. Every interview is it's a song about my relationship to the stage, and obviously it has there's other meanings for it as well, but it's kind of telling the story of when we first started the band off and the way it was perceived and the way it went and the way it's ended up, and kind of tries to depict that journey a little bit. But the choruses are really all about my promise to every stage that I step upon is that I will work every inch of it, otherwise might as well just go home.
I think we wanted to write something pretty simple and really, really basic rock and roll, and I'm quite proud of it because it's literally 2 chords.
I think it's 3.
There's 3 now, but they used to just have 2 chords.
Nothing's going to stop us is lyrically it's about a time when me and my friend were really drunk and we needed to get home, and we were walking along just near the promenade in Lowestoft, and somebody had left a BMX out, and we couldn't afford a taxi and there weren't any night buses or anything like that, so we actually stole it, and I'm not proud of it. I've been working the karma off for that one ever since, but we did literally have to evade a policeman. Pretty much the first thing we saw was a policeman firing a torch in our faces, and then we went straight past him. I was on the Stun Pigs, and so that song's about that time, this one time when we stole a bike.
With the Woman, I think that was a pretty developed backing track with the band, without really a lyric for a long time. I think you threw a couple of things at it and nothing was quite sticking, but we thought the actual basics of the backing track and was really, really good, really rocking, and it was sort of really late in the recording process, even when I think Justin just took the recorded backing track back to his studio and just threw something at it, really, and it kind of resurfaced right at the back end of the album process.
I actually took the back, because we played the backing track within the first set of recordings that we did, and it was one of the best sounding ones. Like, we all played really well on it. It sounded awesome. It was just a real shame that it never got finished, so I took it away and tried to do something at my studio, and I brought it back, and it was still kind of like, yeah, it's all right. People weren't really feeling it, and then it was one of those things where it re-emerged, it resurfaced later on, and for some reason, like, the time thing, the perspective of it had changed, and everybody liked it. I think partly because we really wanted that backing track to work, so we tried even changing the key of it and we completely reapproaching what I was singing on it, and didn't like any of that stuff at all, and just really frustratedly just left it, and then came back to the recording that I'd done at my place, and everyone loved it.
Regarding Hanging On, the music for that song was written pretty much in one foul swoop at about 2 in the morning. I was staying at Justin's because I was doing some writing there, and I snuck up to his recording studio, and because I wanted to have a go on his Stratocaster that he just bought, which had a really nice feel to it, and just started doing the dun dugga dun dugga dun dugga dun, and it literally went in one pass all the way through, including the middle 8 chords and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, this is really good. Recorded it on the voice thing, on my phone accessory thing, and we were sort of tracking it the next day, weren't we, really, in your studio?
I think it was almost as was, but we changed the chorus a little bit. The second half of the chorus was developed. Living East Side Blind is one of those things where we're standing in the kitchen and I put the kettle on and Dan struck a C chord and I went, the kettle is on, the water is boiling, and that's where we started from. And it literally was just as simple as making a cup of tea inspired that whole song. And if he hadn't been sitting with a guitar in his hand, it wouldn't have happened, you know. There's a couple of little moments in there, like there's the C to G minor, and those kind of things was stuff that I've been trying with on a different demo that we brought in as a middle 8 kind of thing, which we developed together. But it really was just born in the kitchen, and it was a simple act of making a cup of tea totally inspired that whole thing. At the end of the recording process, we sort of had a look at what we had, and we weren't satisfied that we had that kind of song on there which does exactly what it says on the tin and is just a good time song. So we spent ages trying to, you know, we found a really great riff, and well, actually Dan found a really great riff, and we were like, this is awesome, we've got to do something with this, and couldn't think of anything. And then I was driving and I had an idea for a melody to go over the top of that, and then we realised that riff plus that melody equaled Big Dumb Rock Song, but we just needed to find the sentiment of the Big Dumb Rock Song. And the biggest and most dumbest thing that I've ever said came out of my mouth: everybody have a good time. And that was the chorus. It's like, fuck, yeah, that's the chorus. You know. She's Just a Girl, Eddie, is, well, I mean, it's another gym session music bed with, but the lyrics are inspired by Ed's love life, our drummer Ed's love life. He spent so long getting over a girl who was just far too young for him, not interested in, you know, what he wanted. They had different expectations from their relationship, and so that song's about the fact that you've got to move on in those scenarios because it wasn't meant to be.
Forbidden Love is I think that it took quite a while to record that song. Actually, there's quite a few different movements in it, sort of pieced together from different sections, really. But essentially, it was kind of written on acoustic, wasn't it? In the gym once more, and it's just actually no, that one started in the kitchen, and it started off as Smell Bear Still Has His Pride, I believe. A lot,
yeah, it's true. A lot of the songs. Because lyrics always takes a little bit longer, sometimes I sort of just for the sake of having syllables to speak out and just to get a meter, I sing about my pets, and one of my pets is Smell Bear. He's a rescue cat who looks a bit like a bear because he lost his tail in a car accident, and he smells because he, you know, in the same accident his insides got messed up, so he does quite a lot of sort of cat farts every time you pick him up, sort of thing. So Smell Bear Still Has His Pride was the working title of Forbidden Love for a long time, and eventually came up with the simple concept that, you know, the more you're not allowed to do something, the more you want to do it. Smell Bear Still Has His Pride.
Yeah, Concrete was always just supposed to be that kind of punky, sort of almost new wave-ish kind of rock song on the album. Something we've not really sort of done before, really. I mean, that that vein, something that sort of moody and it's quite angry, I think. So fans' favourite, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's fast and loud.
There's some real experimentation on the recording actually. There's a lot of backwards guitaring and reverse reverbs and things like that going on. It's quite an interesting listen.
Many years ago we were asked to do a cover version as part of a sort of radio session. We had to do one of our songs and do a cover, and we were looking for a way of subverting one of the songs that we love that isn't necessarily in the sort of kind of genre of within rock that we're associated with. So the two strongest options were Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit, you know, but done more in a pub rock way, or what we settled on, which was Street Spirit. We tried Creep as well, actually, didn't we? We tried Creep. We went through a lot of Radiohead stuff because we all love Radiohead. That's one of the bands that all four of us agree on. So yeah, but Street Spirit was the one that, you know, to take a Radiohead song and make it sound like an Iron Maiden song done in darkness was a real moment, and we've been doing it live for years, and we finally thought, let's try and record it properly, you know, rather than the only recording that existed before that was the original radio session, which is all kind of rushed and out of time and, you know, out of tune in places. And we wanted to do a proper, much meatier recording of that. And Dan came up with the music for Love Is Not the Answer, almost in its entirety, and the band recorded it as part of the first lot of stuff. And it's another one of those situations where I didn't know what I was going to sing, but I really loved the sound of the track, you know, and so I remember Frankie just said to me, "Go in the studio and just open your mouth and see what comes out. Nothing to lose, except for the studio fees, dignity, you know, which is overrated." And so I did that, and that is literally the first thing I sang was what's on the record, and it's kind of like I just couldn't stop listening to it. And I was phoning up all the guys going, "You've got to hear this thing, it's awesome," you know. It's probably my favourite song on the album.